The technology. For most of human history, our understanding of animal behavior was built almost entirely on what we could observe directly, brief surface-level encounters during which the animals themselves were usually alert, cautious, and performing for an audience they were actively trying to avoid. A squirrel crossing a fence, a bird landing at a feeder, a fox pausing at the tree line before disappearing. These moments tell us something, but they represent only a narrow slice of animal life, filtered through the fact that the animal knows it is being watched. The genuinely interesting question, the one that behavioral ecologists and wildlife researchers have been working toward for decades, is a simpler and more fundamental one. What do animals actually do when they feel completely safe and unobserved? Until relatively recently, that question was extraordinarily difficult to answer with any scientific rigor. Observing wild animals in their natural resting environments, inside dens and nests and shelters, without disturbing their behavior in the process of watching it, required either technologies or methodologies that simply did not exist at the scale needed for systematic research. That changed substantially with the development and widespread deployment of motion-triggered infrared cameras, remote acoustic monitoring systems, and miniaturized biologging devices capable of recording movement, physiology, and social proximity data continuously from free-living animals. These tools gave researchers something genuinely new, the ability to document animal behavior across full 24-hour cycles, in complete darkness, in enclosed spaces, and across extended periods of time, without any human presence that might alter what was being recorded. What that footage and data have revealed over the past 2 decades has consistently surprised researchers and forced meaningful revisions to assumptions about animal social life, emotional experience, and cognitive complexity that had been considered largely settled for generations. Social thermoregulation and physical bonding. Among the most consistently documented findings from remote wildlife monitoring is the extent and sophistication of social behavior that takes place during periods of rest, particularly in small mammals during cold weather conditions. Hidden camera footage from nest interiors and den sites has repeatedly shown animals including squirrels, voles, mice, and various other rodent species spending cold nights in close physical contact with multiple companions inside shared sleeping spaces. The immediate functional explanation for this behavior is straightforward. It is a strategy called social thermoregulation, in which animals reduce their individual energy expenditure by sharing body heat with others. In cold environments, maintaining core body temperature is one of the most metabolically expensive things a small mammal does, and sharing warmth with trusted companions can meaningfully reduce that cost. But researchers examining this behavior more closely have found evidence suggesting the picture is more complex than simple heat conservation. Studies across multiple social mammal species have found evidence that friendly physical contact between individuals with established relationships is associated with measurable changes in hormonal and neurochemical profiles, including levels of oxytocin, a neuropeptide that plays a well-documented role in social bonding, stress regulation, and trust across a wide range of mammal species, including humans. Animals with established social bonds appear to actively seek physical closeness during stressful or challenging conditions, and that proximity appears to produce both thermal and physiological benefits simultaneously. The individuals huddled together in those nest camera recordings are not randomly grouped by proximity. Research into small mammal social structures has shown that these animals maintain differentiated relationships, preferring specific companions, showing consistent partner choices across multiple nights, and displaying signs of social disruption when separated from regular social partners. The heat sharing is real, but it is happening within a framework of genuine social relationships that persist across time. Social complexity, cooperation, and what the footage shows. The broader body of evidence accumulated through remote wildlife monitoring has progressively dismantled what was once a fairly confident scientific consensus that most non-primate animals operate primarily through instinct-driven responses with limited social complexity. Hidden camera systems deployed across a wide range of species and habitats have documented behaviors that were either unknown or severely underestimated before this technology became available. Researchers have recorded small mammals grooming companions in ways that appear to serve social bonding functions beyond simple parasite removal. They have documented animals returning to specific social partners repeatedly across extended time periods, suggesting individual recognition and relationship maintenance. They have filmed animals providing what appears to be attentive care to injured or compromised group members, remaining with them, and in some documented cases, altering their own behavior to accommodate a companion's reduced mobility.
Behavioral ecologists have also documented what are described as signs of distress in animals separated from established social partners. Changes in vocalization patterns, activity levels, and exploratory behavior consistent with what stress responses look like in better studied species. It is important to be precise about what these observations do and do not demonstrate. Responsible animal behavior research maintains careful boundaries around attributing specific subjective emotional experiences to non-human animals, because the methodological challenges of making those attributions rigorously are significant. What the evidence does support is that social relationships in many species are not incidental features of animal life, but functionally important components of how those animals navigate survival, stress, and daily existence. The distinction between saying an animal has a rich inner emotional life identical to a human's and saying that social bonds play a meaningful functional role in animal well-being is an important one, and the camera evidence strongly supports the latter claim across a much wider range of species than was previously recognized. What this means, broader implications, and closing. What makes the findings from wildlife camera research particularly significant from a scientific standpoint is not any single dramatic discovery, but the cumulative picture they are building of social life in animals as something far more structured, persistent, and consequential than the older framework of instinct-driven behavior would have predicted. Every year, as monitoring technology improves and data sets from long-term studies accumulate, researchers are finding that social relationships in wild animals show properties, stability over time, selectivity, functional consequences for health and survival that require genuinely social explanations rather than purely mechanistic ones. Studies tracking individual animals across multiple seasons have found that social network position, meaning how well connected an animal is to stable, trusted companions, correlates with survival rates, reproductive success, and resilience to environmental challenges. This is not a trivial finding. It suggests that the capacity to form and maintain social bonds is not simply a behavioral nicety in species that happen to live in groups. It is a fitness-relevant trait that natural selection has shaped and maintained because it provides real advantages. The next time you observe a wild animal in what looks like an unremarkable moment, it is worth holding in mind that you are seeing an extraordinarily small fraction of that animal's life, a public-facing behavioral layer shaped by the presence of a potential threat, which is what you represent to most wildlife. The full picture, the one that remote cameras have begun to document with increasing detail, involves social relationships, individual recognition, long-term bonds, and behavioral complexity that most people never have the opportunity to observe directly. What that research is collectively demonstrating is not that animals think and feel exactly as humans do. The evidence does not support that conclusion. What it is demonstrating is that nature, observed carefully and without assumption, is consistently more sophisticated than the frameworks we bring to understanding it.